Hello everyone, and welcome back to Misfits Racing League Action. My name is Strifium, and we are here, of course, with the Oceanic Division for Round 8. It is the Japanese Grand Prix, and joining me for today's Oceanic Action, as always, Seb, how are you doing today? Evening.
I'm good, thanks. I'm very good. How are you, Strif?
Waking up, doing what we can.
Waking up. Hello to all our viewers. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Ready for Suzuka.
Definitely ready for some Suzuka. Let's take a look at the circuit. It is the iconic Japanese figure 8 circuit. Of course, 18 turns around here, 5.8 kilometers. We have that iconic S's Sector 1 moving through that flowing Sector 2 into the flowing Sector 3, coming out of 130R into the chicane, and it's it's a fun circuit to drive, and it's a fun circuit to watch racing around here. And let's take a look at, of course, where we've been this season. We've had a very, very eventful season already. We're here for round 8 for the Oceanic Grid. We have the US next week, as well as Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi to finish out the season. Things are starting to get down to the wire now for these racers, and after a very eventful round last week in Russia, I'm quite excited to see how the next round here in Suzuka goes. We had a very eventful Russia. You were unfortunately absent for that, but I know you imagine you caught the aftermath of it.
I definitely caught the aftermath of that.
Apollo Pepsi, big impulse over at Mercedes. Normally we have Stars and Trin over at Ferrari as well. Mikau, Red Panda for Red Bull. Rez and Yukio for McLaren. Combine and Ruben over at Renault. We have Wangod and Psycho for Alpha Tauri. Zaino and Ben the Bear for Racing Point. Revo and Maz for Alfa Romeo, with Big Al and Gauzieg over at Haas. Simdaga and Emac rounding out the 20 racers on this grid. Take a look at the standings really quick before we go racing here in Japan. Currently, for round 8, it is Revo, Ben the Bear, and Mikau, your top 3. 142 points for the Alpha driver. We have 113 for Ben and 104 for Mikau. You have Big Al and Wangod 4th and 5th in this one. Constructors Championship currently led by Alpha. You have, of course, Racing Point in 2nd and Red Bull in 3rd, following the Constructors lead, or the Championship leader. And with all of this, should be ready to go racing now here in Suzuka. Just getting everybody readied up in the lobby.
That is correct. Obviously, last time out, Mikau winning the Russian GP with all that chaos happening behind him in the later stages. So note, Revo is not with us tonight, or wherever you are in the morning. Daddy will be back with us. He is having a break from the game. We hope to have him back eventually, but if he stays out for the rest of the season, that is his choice. He's free to make that.
Yeah, I think Russia was, I think it's been difficult for a lot of the drivers that have been grinding it. Like, the way you look at it, a lot of stuff up and down that happens for you. A lot of time put in, and put a lot of time in, and don't necessarily go the way they should. No fault of your own. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna suck. As we're just loading into the qualifying session now. Like you said, 18 turns of this wonderful Suzuka track. Hotspots for overtakes are turn 1 and turn 16. Turn 16 after 130R from the run of Spoon Curve at turn 14, and obviously turn 1 with that DRS straight on that main straight. It's about a 500 meter run down to turn 1, but turn 1 can cause a lot of accidents. It's a little corner where you have to kind of bunch up a bit.
I was told my mic keeps cutting out, so I hope that it's somewhat fixed. If it isn't, let me know if it keeps happening, and I'll try to do something about it. But I haven't changed anything, so I'm not entirely sure why that's happening.
Light cloud for both qualifying and race. That's what I'm being told at the moment. Everyone's going out straight away. lot of people are, I should say. Half the grid, it looks like.
All right, I think I got the mic dialed in. I think it should be okay, but the first driver out of the pit lane here is going to be Trin in the Ferrari. And as he said, light cloud here for qualifying. What a circuit this is. We've had one race here so far this week, the European Division. That's on Tuesday. And that was a very unique race. Very unique race. We had gradual wet conditions.
Oh.
Nobody knew what tire to be on at one point in that race. And those present such unique conditions. Such unique conditions because it's at that crossover where you get the tire degradation on your dry tires. And you're not entirely sure if it's the degradation that's causing you the slips or if it's the slick conditions.
Yeah. This is one of those circuits you do not want interchangeable conditions on, because that S section will catch you out every time. Same with spoon curve, same with the two Degners. As Trin starts his lap, DRS open, blasted down this main straight. Prepare yourself for turn one. You can brake very late into here, braking just at the middle of the apex. Get it wide and avoid this inside curb. Now just prepare yourself. This is fun. Avoid the inside curbs. 6th gear, brake one down to 5th. Keep it going. Sleeve it in 5th. Rev up the engine. Get it back over to the left so you can swing over to the right. Late apex here so you can get it to the right for this left hand of turn 7. Now you have Dunlop curve. Get this to the left. Shortest run all the way through that Dunlop curve. Degners just a little lift. Brake just before the end of the curve, get it down to 4th, open up the throttle, just a little loose on the exit there. Yeah, you want to swing this over to the right, brake at the end of the curve, get it down to 2nd gear, just unwind the card slowly, short shift as well, and plant that throttle once you are straight. Keep it to the right once again for the shortest distance, down to turn 13 and 14 of spoon curve. You're going to look for turn in and brake at about 50 meters. Get that in 5th gear, ride this outside curve, and just a late apex here. Be careful on throttle, and be careful not to go too wide, as Trin's going to get a lovely toe here from Stars. Winding up all the way to 130R, turn 15 of that left. This is going to be a great toe. Stars will pull over to the right here, I reckon, and just allow Trin to get through, so Stars can also get a run down onto the main straight. 3rd gear, clip these inside curves, avoid this outside curve. The bump used to be present on the last game, but it's no longer here. Keep it to the right, and that's a lap of Suzuka. It's a 126.9. That's a decent lap to start off with.
And the Bear, 126.440 on the medium compound tires. Simdog, 126.6. We have Panda, 126.757. Things are already starting to heat themselves up on this front end of the grid.
This is interesting. You said you had Ben the Bear on mediums. Well, it says I have Ben the Bear on softs at the moment.
Well, it is visibly running those yellow rim tires, at the very least for me. I'm not entirely sure how he's looking on your end, but we've got Domi.
Yeah.
Freeware, excuse me. A 126 flat out of the German in the AlphaTauri today. He's on the softs. Mikau, P2 in the Red Bull, a 126.2. Domi ran a 126.585. Wisp in the reserve capacity today, a 127.297. Maz, that 128.2. Wangod and the other AlphaTauris into 3rd position, a 126.219 from him. 9 milliseconds off of Mikau, who we've saw battle with him throughout this season.
Watch out for PTR in the McLaren. He is lighting up he was lighting up the time trial sheets in F1 here, so he could be someone to watch.
Stars coming across 7th quickest in the Ferrari. He asked me yesterday, he said, I need you to pick a number between 4 and I think it was 11. And I had picked 4. And so all his response was hectic. That's all he had said to me. I didn't know what he had meant by that. So I imagine he was asking me to try and determine his goal for position. and I had said 4, and his response was just hectic.
That's a Stars thing to do. Pretty sure he is Queensland located. But yeah, PTR. Sorry, I actually said Peter. I'm pretty sure PTR. It's pronounced Peter, not PTR.
Oh,
So sorry to him for that. But yeah.
well, now I'm learning that as well. Just the same.
Yeah, I'm just every time I see his name, I just think PTR. But I'm pretty sure you're supposed to say just Peter.
I see that, and
Because you were
I
on
think
board
of
with Yukio.
I think of my WoW days. I think of the public test realm. Everyone's like, "Yo, did you have any time in on PTR?" No. Anyway, Yukio about to begin a lap here in the McLaren, coming out of this final chicane.
Sorry, Peter. Oh my goodness, he's just on his outlap at the moment.
You're gonna get us all night with that.
I'm going all night long. Yukio just clipped the inside curve. That's gonna ruin his exit onto turn 3. That's the inside of turn 3, but inside curve turn 3. That didn't look like it ruined his car control, possibly leading to a more understeery setup than the oversteery one. More conservative, which is respectable around here. Especially considering you have the S sections and the Degners, as that's going to be an invalidated lap as he goes wide at turn 8. First Degner.
Carry a lot of speed through that first Degner, and it's very easy for you to come out wide on the exit, especially the cut on the inside. I think coming through the second Degner is common as well. Even an invalidation
Yeah.
on the exit of that second Degner is common, and it's tricky to get right, especially on a flying lap, because you are really not slowing much for the first Degner. I know I'm
really
not.
just downshift and just use the engine to brake as Peter is starting a lap, I believe. But yeah, you can just use your engine to slow the car down, even though you probably shouldn't. Like I said, he was lighting up the time trial boards with a 25.5 in there, just off of Bresnay's time, but Bresnay probably wasn't trying that much. He's just hooking up this very nicely, get over to the right. He's had to lift through turn 7 because he didn't get the car over far enough on the right through the S curves. He's taken the first Degner very well.
He keeps in an 8 there. I'm not able to do that.
You can just lift through there if you have a good enough setup and good enough car control to hold it there. He's gone a bit wide, but that's normally fine at the hairpin of turn 11. You can get away with that. That's perfectly fine. Turn 12 keeps it close to the inside, just after 50 meter board. Get it in. He's gone a bit too hot in there, but a bit too hot, especially into turn 14. Now he's going to clip some grass. .110.3 at the end of sector 2. See how this weighs up by the end of the lap. It's not the greatest lap on his behalf. He hasn't really hooked it up well. He's got a bit of understeer through the final 2 corners and a lot of oversteer out at 18. 27.0. He won't be happy with that. He really won't be happy with that.
Well, it's really not a lot for him to shoot up this grid. Because if you look at things right now, from first all the way down into 11th position, where he just crossed, it is 0.967 the gap, just shy of a second between 11 racers on this grid and Suzuka. For DRS isn't that big of a player because we really only have the DRS down this pit straight. This is shaping up to be quite spicy, and as I say that, who's this that's just crossed? Now Trin, 6th quickest in the Ferrari. 126.508 from him. Now Ben the Bear. Who is this? Not Ben the Bear. Alex Bitto is in second at the moment. And, well, here's... Who was it that had jumped in there? Simdaga. It was Simdaga in the Williams. Into 5th position, a 126.428 from him. Very neat lap out of the Williams driver.
Finding his rhythm. Domia on the mediums. I'm pretty sure this is either a soft medium or a soft hard. Soft medium is apparently relatively risky in terms of a strategy. Tyre wet. And as you were saying on the the DRS zone, turn 1 is not that much of an overtaking opportunity unless you have your car solely around the outside and in front, or equal peggings with your car you're overtaking when you're on the inside. So be interesting to see what happens and unfolds in the race. I'm thinking turn 16 is probably the best spot to overtake, in my opinion, but we will see.
Impulse. Impulse at the moment. Coming through.
He's about to start a lap, I believe.
Impulse has had some up and down luck. He's just watched his teammate struggle his way back into the pit lane there. Not entirely sure what happened with Domi.
Maybe realised that he needed to pull in. Yeah, Impulse does have that podium, but he's also had a lot of issues with crashing. So,
Really likes to push
put it
Impulse.
bluntly.
Oh!
Yeah, he does, and he's into the wall.
Well, you've said it really well, haven't you?
Might have cursed him there.
He's not going to be too thrilled with you after that.
He pushes the limits. He doesn't put in the time to practice a lot of the time, but when he does, he can get it. He gets it really right. But when he doesn't, he tends to push the limits or tries to find those limits. And
oh,
you can see
Yukio's done the
3,
exact same thing.
inside of turn 3.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a killer. It's a killer, especially in race fuel. Look forward to when these guys are on softs at the end of their stints on these high loads of race fuel. If they touch that inside curve, they will be sent to oblivion. Surprised that Yukio and Impulse didn't get session-ending damage, especially Impulse.
Well, I can tell you from experience, before I jump into this, Ben the Bear, a 125.626. He's on the softs this time around, and he sets pole position. And he'll be happy that he doesn't have his usual rival in front of him today. That's Revo. He'll have an opportunity to catch him up in the standings. Now, what I was going to say is, I had a run around here on Tuesday for the Apache division in the Misfits, which is kind of like a little fun pickup league we do for the North American end of the world. And, yeah, that's exactly where I retired the car. Yeah, retired the car.
Another hot spot I'd like to mention out is turn 7, the inside curb there. You need to steer well clear of, because that will send your rear end all over the place, especially if you have a aggressive setup that utilizes a more oversteery driving style, I guess.
This circuit is a heck of a lot of fun to drive. But it can really bite you if you make a mistake. You know, you think of Spoon, for example. If you don't nail that exit on Spoon, you're in a gravel trap, and that can cost you massively.
Well, you're either in a gravel trap or you're losing 5/10 down that massive straight run down to 130R in the Casio triangle of 16, 17, and 18. So. I'm keen to see Peter, I nearly said PDR, Peter pull together a lap. I want to see him do it. He did it in time trial, but time trial you can have many runs to get it. Qualifying you only get maximum 4 runs at some circuits. Here you only get 3 runs to put in a lap, so.
Putting in laps, Domi right now. He's on an active flyer. He's dropped it down into 7th gear. We've seen people go through in 8th for that first Degner. Now coming into the hairpin, going down to 2nd. Short shift up to 3rd. Power out now up through the gears. Starting to look quite good this lap, I have to say. A little bit of a lockup, a little bit of a tire squeal there coming through Spoon now. There goes Pan down the inside.
That's just going to make his run to the line a bit longer and see what he comes up with second 2 time. He's up 6/10 on his personal best. That's a good sign. As Mikia's retired, I think he's done that in the pits though. As he comes around the final corner, keep this to the right, swing it over. ERS runs out 25.9. Nice job.
Yeah, just ahead of Mick. 500ths of a second precisely ahead of Mikau. And Mikau, I think someone you can definitely agree with me on when I say Mikau loves Suzuka.
Peter's just done a purple sector 2 though. He's 7/10 up on his best time. Coming through the final 3 corners, Casio triangle clips the 15 well, misses the apex of, sorry, 17. Keeps over to the right though. He's got a bit of grass. He's just missing the apex, not taking. Yeah, missing the apex of turn 17, not taking all that curb has really cost him. That cost him about 2/10s, I reckon. That would have promoted him up to approximately Domi's position, P3. Gauzy exit. What was that? No. Someone spun round on the exit of turn 6.
That looks like it's maybe
Impulse.
Domi. Is it Domi or Impulse?
Impulse.
Oh, Panda now is flying. PTR has retired. Not entirely sure where though.
He's just retired on track, I think. Keen to watch Ben the Bear and how he goes after Red Panda finishes his lap.
Nice improvement from Panda there, nearly half a second.
Yeah.
It was
Let's
half
put
a
him in
second.
this nice little. Yeah, he puts in this nice little gap between Simdogger and Bido, but Simdogger is likely to improve considering that time he set was at the start of the session.
Alex Bido is going to be quite interested in getting some repetition in around Suzuka. He's got a checkered history around this track, and he's got a Tier 1 race later this evening. For those joining us in the UK, you can catch Alex live racing in a fight for points for Tier 1. That's at 11:15 p.m. in the UK, 6:15 p.m. Eastern.
Ben the Bear with an identical sector 1 time to his personal best.
Wild how you can have an identical time in a qualifying where you're so consistent through a section of circuit and you're looking for improvements in other areas, as Alex Bido coming through Spoon absolutely abusing that gearbox to the best of his capability, trying to get the car rotated to do what he wants. He is up on his time and he's improving.
Ben the Bear's gone purple. Ben the Bear has gone purple. He's hooked up the car really well this lap. I was just watching him in sector 1. He looked really nice. He could do a 25.3 here. It does 25.4. That's a very good time. Freeway's got his lap to do though. See what he can answer with. Does he have 4/10s in his bag?
It doesn't appear that he's flying right now. He's not utilizing any of that energy deployment as we make our way through Spoon here.
True.
Teammate, however, is just ahead of him. Vanguard looking to make a major improvement, up nearly 3/10 as he made his way through Sector 2. How's it going to go to the line now? It's P2 out of the AlphaTauri. A 1:25.690 out of Vanguard saying hello. Don't forget about me. He jumps into the front row. Yeah, that was a heck of a nice lap from him.
Now we're perfectly poised. If you look at the gap between Domi, Bido, and Mikau, that's half a tenth within that. Looking very close in certain parts. Simdogger does a 26.3. I thought he'd improve more in his last lap time than that. He's probably had a mistake somewhere though. Whisper's just the last runner we have to go here. He's just going to retire. Or finish his lap if he wants to. Looks like he's out of fuel though, so he's going to be a while.
Saving everybody a couple of moments. Retiring the car there, I suppose. Well, there we have it. Ben the Bear on pole position. It's Vanguard lining up on the front row next to him with a very nice time, a 1:25.689 that he got in right at the end of the session there. So, Ben the Bear, Vanguard, Freeware in the other AlphaTauri as well. That is your top 3. We have Domi and Alex Bido rounding out your 4-5 racers. We will, of course, go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap, but you can see things are very tight right now. Gap down through 12th position is 1.229. things in the top 10 very, very tight, and Suzuka is definitely going to be a spicy, spicy race. It's the first of 3 races here around Japan today, and it is our second this week around Suzuka. We had EU on Tuesday. Of course, if you're just tuning in, welcome. It's round 8, Oceanic Division, Misfits Racing League Action. My name is Strifium, hailing from the Great White North of Canada, of course, and we have from the land down under, making things nice and homey, Seb.
Nice and homey. I like that comment.
I figured you would. Thought you'd get a good kick. I thought you'd have a laugh.
Just to note on Peter, I'm very interested to see how he goes at the start. Not sure how happy he'd be with his start. Not sure you can see in the bottom right of your screen, but there's just a Williams just bouncing up and down. Stop now because we're about to go on formation lap, but
Did not see it.
uh,
What I will say is this: it is 17 drivers here for this Japanese Grand Prix. Round 8 action. It's Ben the Bear, Wangod, Freeware, your top 3. We have Domi, Alex Bitto on the grid today, as well as Mikau, Peter, Panda. We have Simdog, Trin, Stars, Combined YouTuber Wisp, as well as Yukio, Big Impulse, Maz, and Gazieg, rounding out the 17 drivers for this one. Only 4 drivers at the start of this race opting for different compound tires. That's going to be Stars, Impulse, and Maz on the mediums. You've got Yukio on the hards, so we have a little bit of differential in strategy here, but the majority of this grid on these soft compound, these slick tires, and this is a very, very tight grid as we saw through qualifying, and usually you'll see DRS come into play for a lot of races. This race, however, not having too much DRS in the sense that it's only on the final straight, or the opening straight, if you will, into turn 1.
That's what I'm saying. I just reckon the run from Spoon to Casio Triangle, which includes 130 hours, is probably the best chance you have of an overtake. You can catch someone by surprise by just, if you have the ERS to use, just toss it into overtake, toss it into rich fuel mixture, and just send it down the back straight.
Key though, need to be very on top of what you're doing heading into the Cassia Triangle here, because that chicane, let's be honest, if you make a mistake coming through that chicane, and if you catch that runoff area, you go too deep or you come too far to the inside, you're in the grass, you can make mistakes there very easily. Very easily, especially as you said, coming out of 130R, you're carrying a ton of speed out of that section, and if you don't get the car break down enough for that Cassia Triangle, that final chicane, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah, exit of the Cassia Triangle is equally important. Obviously, the DRS straight. Last game, this was a massive problem, the exit, because you had that big bump. It's not as much of a problem now, but you still need to, now that exit, avoid that outside curb that you have on the exit of turn 17, which kind of runs onto the inside of turn 18.
Yeah.
It looks like we're set, Strif.
Yeah, we are set. Lights are coming on here in Suzuka. 3, 4, 5 red lights now on here around Japan. And the lights are out. We are racing here. It is, of course, Suzuka. And it is a big shakeout there and a big issue for, of course, Freeware. No, that's Wangod who's had a massive issue. Things have already sparked a major life in this grid as there's been big drops through. And major volley of position now happening as things have been super shaky at the front of this grid.
Yeah, that he lost it on the start. He got a terrible start, and he just tried to make up for it. That's Panda around. That's Panda around, and that's caused a massive incident on the exit of turn 7. There's cars flying, literally flying through Dunlop curve, and we already have a safety car. Oh my goodness! The inside of, I'm pretty sure he clipped the inside curve of turn 7, and that's just sent him round, hit the wall, and it's just, it's caught off other cars. Wisp has a penalty, so does Wangod. Bitto's at the back of the grid now after the start. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. Red Panda was literally flying in the air, doing his best Mark Webber impersonation. Ben the Bear and Freeware scot-free. Mikau's gained about 2 positions, same as Peter.
Well, that was
Wow,
extremely
chaos.
unique. Yeah, that was extremely unique to see, and we saw something similar in the European division, where we had a VSC deployed through the first section of the circuit. Now we're here on lap 1 of the Oceanic division, where things have somewhat escalated in comparison. We've got a full safety car deployed, and this is really going to shake things up now. What are these racers going to opt to do for tire strategies? Are we going to see pit stops here, or is it far too early? Well, somebody who has made a decision to come in is, well, Domi. Domi's come in. He needed a front wing change, I do
Look
believe.
at all these people coming in. Wayne God, Wisp, Simdogger. Combined's going to pit as well. He's lost some wing. Just absolute chaos at the start. Interested to see the tyres these guys go on mediums. Wonder if they can make those last. I don't think. Yeah, I definitely don't think they can. Impulse has jumped all the way up into P. Is that P4? No, it's not. That's just a timing glitch.
Yeah, for me,
Lovely.
I've got Mikau, Ben, and Freeware, but I think it's still Ben. Mikau as the host. He mentioned it to me. He had it down to a T. He said, lap 2, it's going to put me in the lead of this race. Lap 3, it's going to put me back where I need to be, and then we'll be all good to go. But we are on lap 2.
Should fix it now, actually, because
there
it
it
comes
is.
through the sector splits. And
There it is.
you go.
First, we have a friend that has opted to join us here. As I believe Mikau may have forgotten to put the lobby on invite only, unless that's somebody that he invited. But unfortunately, we have a return of a bug in the game where if the lobby is not on invite only, things can be quite problematic, causing lag. Hopefully, none of the racers have to deal with that. Well, that we got off to such an interesting start to this race, I have to say. You can't help but have a little bit of a giggle, considering how quickly things got heated to now how quickly things have kind of just fused down. We're going to go around again with the safety car. You drivers would be happy that it was a full safety car, though. I know one driver who will not be too thrilled about how this race went, and it's going to be deemed too soon for these comments, but that is going to be a very, very unfortunate race finish for Panda. And just seems the stroke of bad luck has struck Panda as of the recent times, considering he unfortunately had a issue in Russia as well. Stars had a connection issue of some degree.
Simdogger and Bido just going to catch up to good. I think Bido might be going on to a set of hards now. Yeah, he is. Going to try and get those to the end of the race. That should be possible.
Alex Bido, checkered history around here. He's in 16th position now. He's a tier 1 race. Wangod's just taken a 5-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. Not entirely sure what that means for him. What he was doing there. Maybe well, he was looking to catch the grid, so I don't know what he could have received a 5-second time penalty for. But of course, we now have the ability to view these penalties in our timing tower. You can see there is a black and white rectangle signifying that he does have a penalty. And you can see the amount of time that he has to essentially serve at the, the end of this race, 5 seconds. So see how that progresses. 5-second penalties are servable in the pit lane.
That is correct. Just looking at his front wing, doesn't look like he's done any damage to it, so he's definitely not hit anyone. Like, for example, Gozieg. This Bido needs to try and fire up these tyres so that he can get onto the back of this train and have those tyres ready to go, because those hard tyres are not going to be any fun for him. I'll say that much.
Oh, he's gonna have to fire. He'll have time to fire them up as he makes his way up the straight, heading through into 130R. Because I think that the safety car is going to come in. Well, it has not signaled that it's going to come in just yet, and I've lost all my intervals as well. So all of the drivers are going around again. Yeah, Alex Bido will be thrilled about this. He'll be able to get as much temperature into these hards as he can under safety car conditions now, as he's caught up the grid. very anticlimactic beginning to this race, I suppose, in the fact that you want to see good, hard, wheel-to-wheel action, and then maybe the drama can begin after a few laps. But to get it done, it really it puts pressure. I think you and I spoke about it recently, how these things can really affect you. And speaking of affecting you, combined YouTubers had an issue in Sector 1, and this has set him to the rear of this grid.
No, I think he pitted.
Are you sure he pitted?
Yeah.
I saw
He
him
pitted
off in the
earlier
ground.
on.
Well, he's
Actually, no,
behind
no,
Alex
wait, actually, no,
Biddo.
you're right. No, you're right. You're right. He did pit earlier, but you're right. He spun off.
Yeah, because he's got a
Not
lap
bad.
of time on these hards now. He's fortunate not to have damage though. I saw him out on the inside of the S's section coming out of turn 1.
He's normally free of those types of accidents. Yeah, we'll say that. So yeah, that's really, really interesting. There he's done that. Oh, Biddo's just lost it into the wall as well.
Oh no. Well, look at the front left of that, and that's not going to be good for the Spaniard even remotely, and things are striking him hard here in Suzuka.
Oh, he's gonna have to pit again. He's gonna have to put on new tires that aren't gonna be hard. So he's gonna have to come back into the pits again later in the race. He's gonna need another safety car if he wants any chance of getting decent point scoring at this rate. Safety car should come in at the end of this lap.
Well, there's a lot of weaving happening on the
There we go.
straight into 130R, and there it is. As you said, race control safety car is in this lap, and it's Peter on these soft compound tires in 4th position. Now let's take a look at the position changes just before we go racing here. In the top 8, there's a lot of big gains, and Impulse, as I said it, a lot of big gains. He was one of the people with a good chunk of those gains, and now he's just taking a 5-second time penalty as a result. But
The bear's gone.
yeah, I think he's hammered it down, and he's gotten a really good exit here out of that Casio triangle. Freeware now. Nearly a second off the rear, and Mazda's retired in the pit lane, I believe.
He's lost on the exit of 18, and same as that, like that section where the pit wall just kind of comes out at you. Biddo's also pitted as well for that new wing. Gee, it's all happening, man. And Ben the Bear's had such a good start. He's already clear of that 1 second gap. He's already cleared freeway from that DRS. So
Well, Gazieg's dispatched, I do believe, 1, maybe 2 Williams here. I don't know. I thought he got whisked, but he might have gotten both. I'm not entirely sure here. Things are very hectic. Now there's dirt getting kicked up as we come through the Degners. We're just trying to find our way in this race. A lot of commotion happening on this race restart. Impulse under threat right now from Domi. The battle between teammates, and Impulse with that 5 seconds looking to hold off the Hungarian. Domi looking to the inside as we make our way through Spoon.
if he gets a good run here, Domi should be able to overtake Impulse.
Zaga has made a
Impulse
move
has done
ahead.
himself damage there. You've just flicked off at the wrong time. Impulse just lost on the exit of turn 14 and Spoon.
Gazieg has lost now to both Williams, yeah.
Simdogger's going to be frustrated behind that wheel.
Yeah, I imagine he will, for sure. Stars now in the Ferrari looking at Domi. He's got to run. He looks to the inside, maybe a little early here to jump off the rear of that Mercedes, and he's sticking very tight coming through out of turn 1.
Time to be patient. He could go for a surprise move at turn 11, which is the hairpin, but it's unlikely. He is on the softs, and he really needs to dispatch Domi and Yukio as fast as he possibly can. Look how much Domi closes in on Yukio through this X section. It's going to be a wide because of the dirty air now. That's that 20% dirty air you get in this game. Just affecting Domi's drive through turn 7.
Crucial out of that
Overall,
second Degner to get a good exit into the hairpin. Now we've got another issue for Impulse, and he's into the wall, and Impulse is having some of that bad luck that we spoke about earlier today. And now Domi with a run on Yukio into Spoon. Is he going to make the move here? No, that would be suicide to come up the inside like that. but he is going to look to keep a very tight gap on the exit. Look at the speed.
This is going to be ballsy. UK should back out here. Domi's going to go down the inside of 130. Have a look at this. Domi tries to turn in on him, and Yukio tries to turn in on him, and Domi just says no.
Oh, and there's Stars.
Goes for a send down
What
the
a move from Stars. We had an aerial view on board with Yukio there, and it was the Ferrari out of nowhere taking him by surprise, and now Vanguard's got plans.
Yeah, Yukio getting swarmed up by Vanguard. He got a terrible exit out of... Wow, I'm lost for words. Put that to music, Striff. That was lovely. Nice 3 car lengths back.
Impulse now has finished this race in the pit lane. He has retired the car, and it's bad luck for the Mercedes today. But I have to say, Stars is going to be happy I caught that on camera, considering how things went. The last time I caught a big move from him on camera, that was his crash in Silverstone. He'll be happy finally to have something to claim to fame, and that was quite the move through the chicane.
It was the right choice as well. He needed to dispatch him as quickly as possible. He got the job done. Lovely. He capitalized on what was, I will say, a mistake from Yukio, because he didn't really need to turn in on Domi when he was there. He could have just kind of gave him the corner for 130 and just backed off a bit. Vanguard doing a good job to keep on the back of Stars and keep within that DRS range. Stars using a little bit of that ERS, I believe, unless Domi has just a more downforce oriented setup.
We were at 129.488 now, the fastest lap, with, of course, Vanguard still hunting down these cars ahead. Stars with the DRS on the rear of the Hungarian, and Domi with the DRS in the rear of Trin, of course, and it's just a big train heading down into turn 1.
Ferrari's having a solid, really solid race at the moment. Trin doing a really good job in P5 at the moment, holding off Domi, who is on the medium tyres, of course. He will probably get an advantage later on in the race.
Yeah, those mediums are going to do well for him. Definitely going to do well for him here. And he just needs to keep things well right now. Vanguard's actually in a unique position in 8th. It's unfortunate that he's got that penalty, though. He's got that 5 seconds.
Ooh, just a bit twitch in the exit by Vanguard. That's probably the Hards talking to him, saying, not liking the amount of torque he's putting through those tyres, but Domi's got a good opportunity to really put some spanners in the work for later in the race. Looking at Peter and Mikau specifically, he could target those guys. He is 5 seconds off them, but you can get back those 5 seconds if you...
And the Bear just took a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings, and Freeway and Mikau are going to be happy about that.
Trin missed the apex at 16. Domi should have him here.
Yeah, blood in the water now. Literally blood falling off of that scarlet red Ferrari, and you look at Domi just swallowing it up, coming through into turn 1, and his teammate Stars. Trin has his teammate staring at him. When we saw how quick Stars is to operate through sector 3, at the very least in the chicane, we'll see if he does anything between him and Trin.
Stars is a very straight line oriented setup by the looks of it.
Vanguard right now is really tight to the rear of these Ferraris, and I think
that's Gauzier ground in sector 1, turn 6.
Yo, Tom, rating with the party in 91. How is everybody doing? Hello to you, sir. Welcome in from the family. Of course, my name is Strifium, and joining me is Seb, and Tom, welcome in. Welcome into the family, of course. Thank you very much for that. Welcome in, everyone. You're here for round 8 Oceanic Action. It is Suzuka. And you missed us with an opening lap safety car, but we're here dialed into action in this midfield battle. Domi has just dispatched Trin for P5.
Expecting Trin's tyres are just slowly going off, but he's doing a good job to hold on to the back of Domi at the moment. soft tyres will slowly start to go off, expecting pit stops to happen relatively soon.
Gadwin in the chat. Well, that woke him up. Yes, for those tuning in, I am Canadian. It is 7:13 a.m. here for commentary. This is the first of 3 Japanese Grand Prix that we're going to be having here around Suzuka today. Of course, the other 2 races will be happening at 9:15 and 11:15 respectively. GMT.
Meanwhile, in the fight for P9, Simdog has dispatched Yukio and looking for greener pastures up ahead. So got Wisp behind him in the other Williams car, just looking to make use of Yukio.
Ooh, Vanguard and Stars in the hairpin. Oh, Stars holds on to it for now. Vanguard has shown his hand though, and Stars is going to be on the lookout because I do not believe he had expected Vanguard there at that moment. And it's like we spoke in qualifying, you can get a good run out of that second Degner and really surprise some people into that hairpin. And it was Vanguard really looking to pick up a position there.
Turn 11 and turn 16, I'm pretty sure I said, 2 spots you can get surprise overtakes on. Trin having a look on his teammate, Stars having a look on his teammate. Trin with all the areas to play with. I reckon he should probably use some of that just to try and help out Stars, but Stars got the run on him. This should be an easy overtake, no fighting whatsoever.
Vanguard is sticking with the rear of Trin now, as Stars has just dispatched Trin. And I believe Stars has just left him for the piranha that is Vanguard right now. Or the bull, but there goes Vanguard!
Gonna go into gravel.
Oh, the commentary curse! No!
Watch out.
Oh.
The Simdog is now gonna go off into the wall.
Sim had to, I think Sim was trying to correct maybe to avoid there. Oh no!
He's trying to avoid, oh, now he's gone into the wall again. Oh no! Oh, he's gonna be angry.
Oh, and there goes Peter! Dunlop is causing major issues. Here comes Gazieg looking to avoid. Oh my god, he's got things revved out in 6th right now. He's got no idea what to do in that Haas.
Yeah, it just looked like Sim Dogger was like, turning the wheel too much and was trying to apply the same amount of throttle while trying to avoid the stricken Vanguard that was just slowly coming back onto the track and nearly took out Sim Dogger, and then Sim Dogger just lost it. That was really crazy, and that's shaken up the back end of this middle order, and it's also alleviated pressure off these 2 Ferraris.
That was something to see. We were watching Sim Dogger trying to recover, and out of nowhere, you see a McLaren, slide across into view. That reminds me of that time we saw Big Impulse have an issue outside of Ascari, and it was just Gazieg coming through for a cameo in a 180 position.
Freeway and Mikau first to pull the plugs. Mikau's just all over the back of Freeway now. He wasn't in DRS range before, but now he is after that pit stop. Keen to see what he does with this.
Well, Mikau, Freeway is a driver we've seen through some racing. As soon as he gets off of that first set of tires, he comes in.
Oh, Wisp has a run on Yukio. He could go for a move around the Degners. Has he gone for it? He has. Nice move.
Very neatly done out of the McLaren there. Oh, sorry, I should say the Williams on the McLaren there.
Well, to be honest, that was neat from Yukio and Seti, because he should really pack out into that corner, considering Wisp has all the grip in the world, and he doesn't. He would have lost more time probably fighting him through the corner than just letting him by like he did. And Mikau, like I said before, or thought he should, he's taking advantage of this like new gap he has now. Time to use that ERS, time to try and keep Freeway on his feet and make a mistake. Just looking for a mistake in that S section, like so many others have.
Well, Ben the Bear has now blinked. The question is, where is he going to come out in this grid?
He has that penalty, I believe. Actually, no, that wasn't a 5-second penalty though. He should come out in front of these guys, in front of this traffic, which Freeway and Mikau will have to navigate, especially with combined and Yukio on those hards, and Wisp on those mediums.
There's something about racing points around this circuit. We saw Felipic have a very, very dominating drive on Tuesday. Now his de facto teammate here in the Oceanic grid, in Ben the Bear. Oh yeah, penalties coming across on this grid as well.
Freeway
3
looking
seconds.
for a move into turn 11. Look here, Freeway's on the grass. Oh my goodness!
That was
I
very
don't know if
close.
that's
Well,
I'm
Yukio's
not
in the
sure if that's
grass.
entirely his Yukio's fault. Yukio's, yeah, pretty much in the. I'm not sure if that's entirely his Yukio's fault because Frey was entering a gap that didn't really exist. He had half his car on the grass, half his car on the asphalt, so Yukio didn't really have to give him the space. So I'm not sure if that was Yukio coming over on Freeway or Freeway coming over on Yukio. So they'll probably get looked at after the races. Now Mikao gets a chance on Freeway, and Freeway's kind of doing a bit of a dance in front of him, not deciding which way he wants to go. They fight through 130R. Here's a run down to turn 16. The Casio triangle. Mikao's the inside line. Will he give Freeway the space? He does. Freeway has to give way as Bitter retires. Now, and Freeway calls it pits as he has damaged front wing. Bitter's retired on the exit of turn 14 at the spoon curve.
We'll have to see if this causes anything. Freeway took a pit stop out of that. I do believe he had damage though. Yeah, he had to get that front wing fixed up.
Peter's now slowly clawed his way onto the back of Trin and Stars, who have both pitted. Peter on the hards. Interesting tyre choice. I wonder if that's because of wing damage or he's actually picked that. Not confident on the mediums, for example, but he's got some work to do in front of him. Domi, Wayne God, with some combine all have to pit, so he could gain some positions there, but he is on the hard, so mediums will make it to the end of the race.
Simdaga collecting the fastest lap here so far now. It's a 129.319 coming out of the Williams.
As Mick has dispatched combined YouTuber through Spoon Curve, I believe, or at least on the run to it, from turn 11 through 12 and down to 13. So he's done a good job there. Slowly making his way up through the field. He's in provisional second at the moment. We'll see how that develops later on in the race though. Spin the Bear sets the fastest lap at 29.2.
Just looking in at these Ferraris right now. Stars and Trin holding 7-8, and you have Peter with PTR here in 9th, and he's got DRS now, but it's going to be just this little train holding for 7th. Not going to be a lot he can do about this, and he doesn't have a lot of battery in deployment. He's also on these hards, which don't have as much pace right now. Means he's going to be needing to utilize that battery to, you know, stick with them at the moment before they run away.
He's already, you stated this already, like almost out of battery. Those hards have a massive advantage. He clipped the inside curb and had a massive moment. He's flirting with danger when he clipped that inside curb of turn 7. Same thing with turn 3. We haven't seen any incidents at turn 3 this race, but we have seen many at turn 7. It looks like at the moment Peter's going to fall away from these two Ferraris who are just playing this nice chess game.
I have to say, I'm a little surprised with the amount of retirements that we've seen on lap 15. We've got 4 drivers out of this race, and it's already lap 15. We've got a few more, well, 12 laps of running essentially here left, as these drivers will cross into lap 27 in just a moment's time. Actually, sorry, lap 17. Domi is so far out ahead, I didn't realize that he had already crossed. So we're on lap 16. Thought we were just entering lap 17, but now Mikao's dispatched Wisp into turn 1. Easy as you like, and there's been quite a few stops in this race. There was a big commotion at the beginning, resulting in a safety car. Some drivers had that opportunity to get in and pit, and you can see Wisp and Combined, as well as Domi and Wangod, were of those drivers getting that opportunity. Penalties for the top 3 racers right now, they're looking like this. You've got 3 seconds for Domi, 5 seconds for Wangod, and 3 seconds for Ben the Bear, and this could all come into play for Mikao quite nicely here as he's on some fairly fresh tires in comparison to the front two.
Ben the Bear's just on the back of Vanguard. He should try and make light work of him soon, but I expect Domi and Vanguard would pit very soon, as Vanguard has a nice big moment through turn 13 on the exit of Spoon. This might open things up for Ben the Bear if he wants to have a look, but I don't think he will. It's not like he's using any overtakes, so it looks like he's just going to sit behind for now. Doesn't need to risk anything.
Yeah, it's nothing to risk here. He's going to have DRS, and he knows it.
Yeah, he knows it. Just relax here. No need to do any risky moves. You have the provisional lead. We got up ahead, needs the pit. The next best car behind you is around 3 seconds behind, so they don't look like they're too much of a threat. You just got to keep it clean.
Domi comes out in 6th position here with solid margin ahead of Stars. Now onto some softs for the Hungarian, and Vanguard into the lead of this race under major threat from the racing point.
Just noting, Trin's dropped off the back of Stars here. Now I wonder if Stars might just slow down a little just to let Trin back in it or not to get that DRS, because Peter's all over the back of him, albeit Trin does have 50% DRS and Peter only has that 10%, which he uses a lot of. But he looks like he's pressuring Trin a lot.
Well, Trin with that energy deployment, he's going to be in battle mode in comparison, and PTR is not going to have as much fighting capability without that battery. And the Bear, speaking of battery, utilizing some of it now on the exit out of Spoon. I think he wants to get it done rather sooner than later here, so he wants to close up to this AlphaTauri as we make our way into the Casio Triangle out of this iconic 130R. And here through the Casio Triangle now, this final chicane around Suzuka, you're going to see him try to get as best of an exit as he can here. Either that, or we see something we've seen before where these drivers stick within the no, and the Bear is just going to go for it here.
Around the outside, this is bold. Got to have a lot of trust in the other driver you're overtaking to go around the outside of turn 1 and 2, but he's done it. What a move.
Yeah, that was clean as you like for Ben. Around the outside, Vanguard keeping very well on the inside there, giving him the space. Ben.
Pete's got to run a Trin here.
Oh, give me the cameras.
Ooh.
I tried to get cameras there, and PTR was shooting up the inside that just didn't want to give me a view.
Jeez, I'm surprised Trin didn't fight harder than that and just defend the inside line. I'm very amused as why he wouldn't fight harder. Got 10 laps to go. He obviously doesn't know that Peter has almost no ERS, but you try and fight that as long as you can, considering Peter is on the hard tyres. So now Peter's got a chance to make some waves.
The penalties that have come across now, and those 3-second time penalties, I imagine not a single one of the racers with one of those is going to be happy if they see a safety car come out. Domi on the softs is just eating the time between him and combined YouTuber alive right now. And look at this exit coming out of Spoon. Combined doesn't even have anything to say about this. He just pulls off to the inside and says, all right, have at it. Because what's he going to do? He's on 15 laps, soon to be 16 lap pulled hards here versus fresh soft rubber. It's a no contest.
Yeah, just reckon it's time to pit for Vanguard and Combine, but Vanguard's still going, which is really interesting. He might be trying to hold out for a safety car, which I don't think is the best idea to do right now. You need to just try and, because either way you're going to end up on better tyres than the guys in front, and you're going to be bunched up on better tyres. So we'll just try and pit now and just see what you can make of these last 9-8 laps or so.
54% battery, just touching up by 60 for Trin, and the PTR or Peter 11, dancing around that 10% margin. And if Trin is able to turn on these mediums and utilize some of that battery and really stick with PTR here, I mean, PTR has got this penalty as well. Trin doesn't.
Yeah, he definitely got another warning for turn 8 there, taking the curve.
Domi is just lighting up the circuit on these softs right now as well.
Yeah. Wisp up ahead has gone 16 laps on those mediums. which is relatively normal, but could have pit earlier just to get on those softs and make use of them.
Do you think he comes in
Right.
here? I think he does.
I reckon they all should, to be honest. Wangod's still going.
Yeah, there it is. Wisp into
Actually,
the
no,
pit lane.
Wangod, sorry, my bad. Wangod does not have to pit.
No,
Because
he doesn't. He can
he
stay
does
on
not.
them.
Forget about that. Combined can keep going as well.
Yeah, it's because of
These
that.
sides can last a long time.
Yeah,
Because of the safety car.
yeah, that safety car, exactly. That safety car that came out in the beginning of this race really threw a wrench in strategy around for this race. And it's fun when you look at it. We've had 2 races here now around Suzuka. If you're just tuning in, of course, if you came in with Tom, if you're a member of course, the family. My name is Strifium, and we're happy to have you here viewing with us for some Misfits Racing League action. Of course, if you haven't hit that follow button, help us out. Hit that follow button if you enjoy league racing, because we put on a ton of wheel-to-wheel action here, and we're happy to have you along for the ride. PTR now has caught up with Stars, and this is going to be a little bit of an issue for the Scuderia now, because just a few moments ago I did not think that this was going to be an option. PTR showing some solid pace even regardless of the low battery output. He's going to be looking to get another couple of points away from the Ferraris here today.
This battle for P5 could heat up if P6, 7 and 8 can catch up to Combined, which they slowly are, but it doesn't look like they're doing it fast enough. They've got approximately 6 laps to do this. PDR's got a good chance of doing something. And see the run out of the final corner as he gets another penalty. He's getting greedy on the throttle on the exit of 18 as well, and this is going to open him up. Oh no, it's not, because Trin's too far back. He spoke too soon there. But meanwhile up at the front, Wangod is just, he hasn't really lost Ben the Bear. Ben the Bear's not dropped Wangod at all at the moment. Mikau has been able to make barely any ground on Wangod. I actually don't think that gap has changed in the past 2-3 laps from 5 seconds, or 4.9, so things in the race just starting to slow down now.
Wangod, it's impressive that he's holding that gap as well as he is on those tires versus a driver like Mikau, who we know absolutely loves to fly around Suzuka here. And now we have this fantastic battle just brewing and holding well between the McLaren and the Ferraris. And it really is between the McLaren and both Ferraris here, because you have to keep in mind the penalty situation for the McLaren is 6 seconds presently. Both Ferraris don't have any, so we'll see if Trin is able to stick with Peter here, or if Peter is able to get ahead of Stars and break away. We still have a little bit of racing left, but it's the air right now, I think, coming into play between these drivers.
Combined had to have made a mistake somewhere over this past lap, because he's lost about 2 seconds to these guys. It can't be purely just tyre performance or skill. There's got to be a mistake in there.
It's been such an up and down race. It really has when you look at things, because this grid, we saw it so tight in this qualifying session. Things were between a second for the top 12. Then you have that opening lap safety car, which is something we haven't had around Suzuka yet this week. We had the VSC on Tuesday for EU, but not the full safety car. Now we've had it here on the opening lap, and it's really threw a wrench in tire strategy. You look at the penalties on the board, look at all of the different tires, you look at the stoppages from these racers. This is not your typical start to finish, sprint, if you will. And you know what? These 50% races never are. Especially with a grid like the Oceanic grid, a lot of these racers have had time to race with one another, even though we've got, we have a decent amount of reserves on the grid today. There's been some good racing, a little bit of drama. We've got 4 drivers retired in this race, but there's been some good overtaking and some neat moves. Speaking of neat moves, Stars had that good one into the Casio Triangle, but right now he's got a very serious McLaren in his rearview mirror.
If Stars can dispatch Combined this lap, he could pull out a big gap on Peter here. By big gap, I mean approximately a second. Because Peter should have to sit behind Combine for a whole lap, considering he has almost no ERS. So here comes Stars now, looking for around the outside of Combine. Combine's defending heavily to the inside. How's this going to work out? Goes side by side through turn 1 and 2. Stars will have that position easy. Swoops around the outside of Combine. Nice move. He's been very clinical today, Stars, with his overtake.
Yeah, well, he has. That Casio triangle when we brought up before he dispatched the Renault was, of course, probably one of the highlights of this race. And Combined right now has a big issue named Peter in, of course, 7th position, hunting him down in that orange car. And that's all that this Renault can see in his rearview mirror. His fight has gone from with Stars to with this McLaren, of course, and he needs to forget about that Ferrari ahead for a moment and worry about this McLaren because he's on 20-lap old hards and he doesn't have any penalties. And this is going to be huge for him if he can just hold 6th position.
If he can just stay in the DRS range of Stars, that would help him massively. It'll allow him to keep in front of Peter for just that one more lap, and that might help him stay in front of Trin, who's in P8 at the moment.
That was a great exit out of the McLaren coming through Spoon, and now
Just doesn't have the ERS to play with.
yeah, he just doesn't have that power. He does not have the power to make a move, but they are going to be wheel to wheel now, side by side as we make our way through into the chicane. Through the Casio triangle we go, and that is the McLaren through into 6th position.
Move. Very nice move. Neither of these guys have... Oh, Peter has the ERS, but he's not using it. This is allowing Combine to get back in, but he also has no ERS as well. And Trin is all over the back of these guys. He's getting in on the action now. He's keenly looking at P7, and after the penalties is likely going to get P6 as well. Stars is already up the road. Peter's got no chance of catching him unless Stars makes a mistake. This is really poising up well for a nice finish here. Stars has really dropped off of Peter, and Trin has really dropped off of Peter and Stars in terms of pace. But he could still be in for a shot here of stealing some points off of Peter if Peter can't pull away from these two guys.
Yeah, there's definitely blood in the water for this Ferrari. That's Combined, of course, who's hemorrhaging it right now. And 21-lap old hards versus 10-lap old mediums with just a few laps to go. With a charging Ferrari in your rearview mirror, that's going to be a little bit of pressure. And it's as you said, this is actually a fight for P6 when all is said and done for Trin and Combined, because PTR has that 6-second penalty.
This is going to be interesting if Freeware, who is in P9, can just... Actually, no, he can't because he has a penalty as well. My bad.
Yeah, it would be tough for him to really get within range of this and inherit any additional points with the penalties.
Trin's got a very good chance here. This will be easy. Combined does not put up a fight.
Nothing he can do. The run's too strong on the good traction. Oh, Simdaga has retired in the pit lane, and he is finished with this race. And it was a very up and down dynamic for the Williams, of course, and you hate to see it.
Just in these past 3 laps, Mikhail has been able to close down that gap on Vanguard. He's within that 5 seconds of Vanguard as well, who has that penalty. I'm not sure if he will appeal or not, but that could also end up being an interesting finish. We've got 2.5 laps or 2 1/3 laps to go for these guys, and Mikhail is within 2 seconds of Vanguard. So we could expect like a last corner move per se.
Freeman is slowly gaining on Combined here. He's brought down a decent chunk of time. We'll see if he's able to. It's now we're just heading into the penultimate lap of this race. Lap 26 out of 27, of course. Thank you very much for all of you who have been joining us for this race. We hope you have been enjoying it. Things not as intense and loud, I think, as normal, considering I haven't had to really start yelling. It's not like Russia. That was a very wild race for the Oceanic Grid in Russia. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Suzuka will play out for Tier 2 and Tier 1 racing later.
To be honest with you, we haven't had a lot of lap 1 type of intensity stuff today, have we?
No, it's been a strategical drive. strategical drive, we'll say today. Mikau is really, really tight to Vanguard. Peter sticking with Star as well. Freeware is now 2.7 seconds away from combined, and he is flying. Look at that gap. Those hards have either come off a cliff or Freeware's really turned up the heat.
Mikau's making use of Vanguard though. He's got a lap and a bit to do this. I think he can. He's had a nice drive today, tonight. Been quiet but good. That's sometimes all you can need. He could steal this P2 from Vanguard here. It's Vanguard's to lose. Had a great strategy call of staying on those hards from lap 1, even though he started at lap 3 on the safety car, even though he had that front wing damage at the start from that big pile up at turn 7. But Mikau is pressuring him. He's all over the back in the S section. He needs to just try and stay clean, Mikau, if he wants a chance of overtaking later in the lap. Because if he stays clean here,
Stars. Trying to interrupt their Stars and Peter still exchanging here. Mikau, Vanguard, tight. Real quick, thank you very much for the shout out to Mr. Simdaga. Of course, Simdaga in the Williams today. Thank you very much for the rate of 6. Very unfortunate to see you out of the points, sir, and retired in this race. Definitely an up and down race for you.
Vanguard's got a bit wide of turn 11. This could be the chance Mikau needs.
Ooh, it's tight. That was almost a wheel tap there coming out of the Red Bull on the rear of Vanguard. But of course, Vanguard holding second position now. This is a fight on the final lap of this race. We're coming down through, heading into Sector 3. Vanguard under major threat for a serious haul of points here. It's the Red Bull hunting him down for second. Oh, it's tight on battery. There goes Ben the Bear now just ahead, taking the checkered flag, coming through the Casio triangle. It's still wheel to wheel between these two. Mikau with a great traction. Oh, what a run out of the chicane, and he gets it done. Mikau ahead of Vanguard there, and Domi crosses fourth here.
Freeway could have a run on combined all the way back for P8. Combined so long in the equation for the P7 position that Peter could drop from all those penalties, but doesn't look like Freeway's going to get it unless he gets an absolutely brilliant run out of turn 17.
Combined now under threat from Freeware to the line. It's going to be a serious finish for these two. Penalties coming in it for Freeware though, and he was not able to pass on track. It was a 10th at the line that we can confirm. It was .119 between those two. Love to see the races to the line. Gazieg now, Yukio, the two last drivers to finish. It'll be Yukio first to come into the chicane to finish out this race. 27 laps we've had here around Suzuka. Don't go too far because, of course, we are going to share the love. We've been rated twice today. We greatly appreciate it. We're going to raid as well. We always do. Love to pay it ahead and support the F1 community. Gazieg now, the final driver in this race here for the second of 5 Japanese Grand Prix for the Misfits Racing League this week. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in for round 8 of this season. Gazieg finishing things a little bit earlier for us here, taking 10 seconds as well, but getting that car to the line, cutting through the Casio triangle. But thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. That was a very unique, thrilling race. Strategy definitely playing a role there. Stars getting the driver of the day. He'll be happy with that after an up and down season. But yes, Ben the Bear with the race win here in Suzuka. It's Mikau taking the second step with Vanguard in third. What an interesting race it was overall, I have to say, Seb.
A really good strategy call by Vanguard, and combined strategy call paid out for him in the end. Those pitting on hards at the start of lap 3 under safety car paid off.
Definitely did. Definitely did.
Once again, another great drive from Ben the Bear, who just does what he needs to do, keeps out of trouble, just keeps it clinical.
Yeah, 128.139, the fastest lap of this race from pole to the win. That's Ben the Bear, the tie driver in the Racing Point. Mikau from 6th to 2nd, and it was Vanguard who started on the front row who drops back a place to round out the top 3 for this one. Domi in 4th. Stars in 5th. It's his teammate 6th. It's a 5-6 for the Ferraris. We have Peter in 7th there. The McLaren combine in 8th. Freeware in 9th with Wisp rounding out the points for this one. Yukio in 11th. Gaziek 12th. The last 2 drivers to finish in this race. Simdaga as well, 13th position with the DNF unfortunately classified for him. It was a fairly late retirement, but it was an up and down drive overall for Sim, and he's had some up and down luck this season. We'll have to get him next time, of course, in the US next week. Big Impulse in 15th position behind Alex Bido there. Maz in 16th, and that's Panda, who was the first retirement on the opening lap of this race, of course, resulting in that safety car. But thank you so much, of course, everybody, for tuning in. Without further ado, that is going to be it for us. We are going to find someone to raid really quick here. And, of course, well, pay it ahead after the lovely raids. Thank you very much to Simdaga and, of course, Mr. Tom, very much for your raids. Love to see it. Love to see this community support. You guys are the best. Of course, my name is Strifium here from Canada. Joining me was Seb. And just a lot of fun overall, Seb. Any last remarks for that?
No, it's good race, nice watch. Keen for next week. Shout out to the boys.
Well, take care, everybody. We will see you guys. We're going to raid, well, a member of the racing community, not necessarily somebody who is on F1, because we're kind of new to this time zone, but we like to, you know, just share things around, bring people, introduce people to different racing. So we're going to jump on, I think, to some iRacing today. We're going to try to diversify a little bit. We hope you enjoyed the Suzuka, but we are going to jump ahead and raid now. We will see you guys, of course, well, later this evening for Tier 2 and Tier 1 action. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you later.